You are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Network. If you are offended by black people discussing our suffering, black people discussing our struggle, and black people talking about solutions to our problems, then this show is not for you. You have been warned. Nat Turner Library Radio.
Brothers and sisters, you are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Today's date is Thursday, February 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I am your host, Brother Michael Muhammad, Executive Producer of Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Tonight's subject, brothers and sisters, media's psychological war against black leaders. And I don't just mean white media or racist media. I mean some of our own so-called conscious black media people have a war, it seems like, against black leaders. Brothers and sisters, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Dr. Umar's, the school he's going to be starting or has already started here in Delaware, brothers and sisters. He will be in the building. He'll be on the line soon. And as always, brothers and sisters, we're going to talk about those subjects and many, many, many more things to come. You are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. And as I start, brothers and sisters, I want to welcome you to tonight's subject. It is a very powerful subject. As always, we want to get straight to the truth. And want to start off properly by acknowledging the creator of all. For without him, there is nothing that we can do. We have no essence of a discussion or conversation. And I say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who appeared to us in the person of a well-made man coming 9,000 miles by himself from the holy city of Mecca to teach us what had been lost for 66 trillion years. I speak none other than Master Wali Fard Muhammad, who raised up the Christ, the first begotten of the dead, here in the wilderness of North America. And he left us a reminder of those two. The Spirit of Truth, the representative of Jesus the Christ, the true vicar of Christ in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is in their holy names. That I greet the listening audience of the Nat Turner Library Radio Show and tonight's subject. In the ancient black language of words of peace and paradise, we say it, Assalamu Alaikum. And to my brothers and sisters from the Hebrew Israelite family, we say Shalom. And to those who are from the ancient Kemetic family, I'd like to greet you in the words of the ancient scientist Hotep. And to my good Christian family, for those who are black and conscious who just want to learn something tonight, I want to say praise the Lord. Rahubat, which simply just means peace be with you, in the Nuwapian Anunnaki language. To my Black Power family, that's Attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz, Chairman Hazinga, and Sister Yah Sentawa, we want to say Black Power. To the 5%ers, nations of gods and earths, we want to say peace to the gods and the earths. And to the Nat Turner Gun Club, Huey P. Newton Gun Club, for those brothers and sisters who are defending themselves and others in the wake of it, of a very trying time that we're in, want to say black power to you as well. All of my beloved student ministers in my beloved nation of Islam, Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad, my minister here in Atlanta, Student Minister Ava, Student Minister Abdul Halim down in Houston, Dr. Ridgely down in Muhammad Farms, Student Minister Dimitri Muhammad, the great defender of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Student Minister Ilrashad, Dr. Wesley, Student Minister Tony, Minister Chris, Minister Rodney out in the Delaware Valley region, Student Minister Hafiz, Minister Abdul Hakim, Minister David, and Minister Patrick down in Miami. Want to say assalamu alaikum to all of you. Thank you for teaching that which had been taught, had been lost for 66 trillion years, and attempting to resurrect the dead here in the wilderness of North America. Tonight's subject, brothers and sisters, black leaders. Media's psychological attack against black leaders. There's been a lot said, a lot done, brothers and sisters, over the years, the last few months about this subject. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk with our beloved Dr. Umar about the school. Later on, we're going to talk to him also, if time permits, about this particular subject and how it affects not only the conscious community but others. Because when I say media's attack, we're not just talking about, the Jewish media. That's obvious what's happening, what they're doing, what their agenda is. But, we got some of our so-called conscious people, so-called, who are sitting out here spreading lies, spreading rumors, spreading dissent against other black conscious groups and other people here. We want to understand what this effect is on the people. And as a undergraduate student of psychology, I can tell you from my own experience and own research, it is not good. It's a long-lasting effect. It causes distrust, which is the ultimate gain, or gain, if you would, of the larger media group. And so, brothers and sisters, again, you are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Tonight's guest will be Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson. Just a couple of little things here, brothers and sisters. If you're not familiar with the Nat Turner Library Radio Show, for those who are not familiar, just want to tell you about who we are, what we do. It's 123-acre land out there, pristine land in the Nat Turner country, that great revolutionary ancestor, one of the first black preachers who realized that after reading that great book of the Old Testament and the New Testament, he realized that God, that the white man said, wanted you to love your enemy, didn't actually want to do that. He realized that the God we serve, brothers and sisters, wants revolution, wants yourself to be free. He's not a God of slavery. He's a God of freedom, justice, and equality. And so in that spirit, the founder of the Nat Turner Library, Elder Baba Khalifa, and his wife, dearly departed wife, Sister Rita Fard Khalifa, may Allah be pleased with her, had the vision of opening up a library which contains as many of the black published books that you can find. And he has quite a few. He told me many years ago, Elder Baba Khalifa, the founder, that he wanted to have a library with every book ever published by a black man or woman in North America in this library. And he has quite a few. He's about 30 to 40% there. Brother's also one of the largest black book publishers, one of the longest standing in North America. He's been publishing books since the 70s, during that time when black books were in vogue, and now during the time he survived, during the time where black books and black bookstores and black book publishing has been under attack. And I speak none other than Baba Khalifa. I thank him for allowing me to be the executive producer of a show that he started many years ago. Him and his son, that is my friend, Khalifa Muhammad, author of the book, Frequently Asked Questions About the Nation of Islam. We picked up a few years ago the helm of starting this show, and we are now on season 3. And again, brothers and sisters, if you want to be a part of this conversation tonight, you know someone who wants to listen in to hear about this great movement that Dr. Umar is starting in the Mid-Atlantic region, and also with the great publishing and great research he's done to help you and I with our children, because, we already exposed this many times. Dr. Umar has been one of the greatest fighters of freedom, justice, and equality for black parents in this school system thing. We've exposed their attacks against us, particularly as black boys and black men, and he has a school and a building finally with all the assaults that he's been under from various sources, distrust, mistrust, unfounded mistrust. I can't stand that, brothers and sisters, so I want to talk to our brother tonight. He's being vindicated. He's starting the school. He needs our help. And so we're going to talk about what we can do to help him. You can also take tours of the Nat Turner property, brothers and sisters, by calling direct to Baba Khalifa, founder of the Nat Turner property. And how do you do that? You do that with 434-378-2140. That's 434-378-2140. That is our beloved brother, Baba Khalifa, founder of the Nat Turner property. Brothers and sisters, I also want you to follow us on social media. If you're on Facebook, Go to Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Just simply type in the Facebook search, Nat Turner Library Radio. You'll see our photo there, Instagram. Nat Turner Library Radio there as well. Go to Twitter, and all you got to do is type in NTLR-radio. That's NTLR-radio on Twitter. I'm also an author of a book, one of several to come, called Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, The Black Woman. It's a book of a research study with facts and proof and evidence about the subjugation of the black mind since the beginning of antiquity of the creation of the Caucasian all the way up till today, and how that's hurt us. You can go and support this book by going to Amazon and downloading the e-reader version, which is Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1. The Black Woman, all you got to do is type in Checkmate and the words Michael Muhammad, M-U-H-A-M-M-A-D. It'll come up. You'll see a picture of a sister who's enraged, holding her head. She's a chess piece with the hands of a white man and the hands of a black man trying to pull her in each direction. That is myself. That is the author of that book, Brother Michael Muhammad, your brother, executive producer of Nat Turner Library Radio. You can also go and support the host, myself, at bromichaelmuhammad.com, BROMICHAEL-MUHAMMAD. We also, my wife and I, we also distribute shirts. We also distribute African products, including some of the most exotic fragrant oils from around the world. I've been in that industry for over 30 years, and we're not getting some cheap stuff. We ship all around the country, and we also have a lot of different products that will be of interest to you, including one of our most famous shirts, the Know Your Enemy shirt, which has a lot of the atrocities of the black man and woman of North America here in the back. Support some of our other hosts of the Nat Turner Network by going to easylightsources.org, easylightsources.org, khabooks.com, and then, of course, you can support black-e-books.com. If you're in Atlanta, brothers and sisters, go to Blue Seas Restaurant, 890 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard. That's 89 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard in Atlanta. Blue Seas Restaurant in the historical Bluff area. Student Minister Abdul Sharif and others have started this restaurant. It's a great place, best food for a very, very fair price. Support our sister at Sage Juice Bar in Duluth at 3255 Section B, Pleasant Hill Road, next to the gas station in Duluth, Georgia. Phone number to Sage Juice Bar and Cafe, 404-330-8818. Of course, brothers and sisters, if you want to support your own black farm, go to MuhammadFarms.com. That's MuhammadFarms.com. Support the 3-year economic program. If you're not able to come to that website, if you go to the website, and you can find out ways you can donate there as well. And brothers and sisters, that is also another farm here in Atlanta Metro that you can support, breadandbutterfarms.com. A good Muslim brother named Musa and his wife. That's breadandbutterfarms.com. And brothers and sisters, again, you're listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Tonight's show, Media's Psychological War Against Black Leaders. Upcoming will be Dr. Umar Johnson. Upcoming will be Dr. Umar Johnson.
Mr. Muhammad.
Yes?
It is time for the news with Sister Tan.
All right. It is right on time. The news with Sister Tan. Sister Tangela, are you there? All right. Assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling tonight, Sister Tangela? Oh, I'm doing well. Thanks. I couldn't hear you. What'd you say? You said you're okay?
Okay, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing well by Allah's permission. Thanks for asking, Sister Tangela. We had a great time listening to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan last week during Savior's Day lecture, didn't we, Sister Tangela?
Yes.
All right. So what do you have for us for tonight?
The first article is Blavity.com. Virginia to honor slave revolt leader Nat Turner with a monument. Nat Turner is a name synonymous with bravery and power.
That's right.
He became famous as a leader of a slave revolt in 1831, bloodiest and most prolonged of its kind in all of American history. Amid controversy about Confederacy and slavery-related monuments, Virginia has decided to honor Turner by including him in an anti-slavery monument consisting of 10 other honorees, all who advanced the cause of freedom. This commission is brought by the members of the Martin Luther King they're going to have the statue, which would consist of 2 bronze statues of anonymous slaves. It's going to be erected on Brown Island.
Okay.
Time in 2019.
So you said this is going to be synonymous. I mean, this is by the Dr. King Association?
Dr. Martin King Memorial Commission.
Memorial Commission. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. The 10 honorees that are also going to be part of the monument is Gabriel Prosser.
All right.
Mary Elizabeth Bowser.
Okay.
Brett Scott.
All right.
William Harvey Kearney. John Mercer Langston.
Okay.
Reverend Wyatt T. Walker. Lucy F. Sims. Rosa Dixon Bowser. And John Mitchell Jr.
So nothing on Denmark Vesey then, huh?
No, not this time.
Wow. So what's your comment on this commemoration?
I think it's about time. I think they should have done it a long time ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So I look forward to next time. Hopefully next time we go to Virginia.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know. Browns Island it's in the state of Virginia. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, let me say this. Virginia is a pretty vast state. I'm gonna find out right now. But well, I will say this.
If it's up next time in Virginia, I definitely like to go by and see it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's worth the trip. You know, brothers and sisters, Browns Island. Sister Tangela was asking a question. Browns Island, Virginia, is in the Richmond metro area.
Oh, okay.
You know, Richmond is the capital of Virginia.
Right.
And it's pretty much in central Virginia, not too far from Hampton Roads, not too far from the Nat Turner property.
Good.
It's the crossroads of Interstate 95, 64, 85. All roads seem to begin and end going to the south through Virginia. If you remember, during the Confederate times, Richmond was the place that pretty much was the capital of the Confederacy.
Right.
And so, brothers and sisters, this thing about our brother and our ancestor, Nat Turner, being commemorated with a statue is long overdue. Long overdue. You know, it's just amazing that traditionally a civil rights organization would take such what they deem radical representative of our ancestral lineage to be part of that. Gabriel Prosser as well. I've often talked of him. I talk about him in my new book coming up, Brothers and Sisters, which should be ready next year. Gabriel Prosser and Denmark Vesey had the idea just as Nat Turner did. Now, if they were not betrayed, then Gabriel Prosser and Denmark Vesey's revolution would have been, or their revolutionary fight would have been even greater in the numbers-wise than Nat Turner's. There was something like over 1,000 people in each of those, Sister Tangela, that were prepared to take up arms to enslave slave masters in an attempt to free our people, but they were betrayed just like we are today, and we're talking about this subject tonight. They were betrayed by their own people. And so we shout out to the commemorating committee of Dr. King for including such a, what they call radical, but such a revolutionary brother as Nat Turner, as well as Gabriel Prosser, right, was the other, and along with some others. I'm not familiar with some of those brothers and sisters, but I do know if they're going to include Nat Turner, hey, let's go see that.
I agree.
All right, what else you got?
The next article is from USAtoday.com. New Jersey to require schools to teach LGBT history.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, New Jersey has become the second state in the nation after California to adopt a law that requires schools to teach about LGBT history. Yeah.
Wow.
Under this measure, public schools must include lessons about the political, economic, and social contributions of individuals who are gay or transgender. Starting in 2020, school year.
Wow.
Yeah, the bill also requires teaching about those who are also disabled. This law does not apply to private schools. Now, there are some organizations who are totally against this.
Of course.
They're saying that it takes away the power from parents, and it may encourage kids to question their sexuality.
Absolutely it does. What's your comment on that, Sister Tangela?
You know, this is a very, very testy subject. I think I on the side of the fact that it does take away parents' rights because not all parents want their children at a certain age exposed. So parents should have the right to determine what their child should be exposed to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that, you know, when you do have a child being exposed to certain things, they do start to question.
Well,
they don't know what it is. They don't know how to implement it. So it can cause some confusion there.
Well, that's exactly the language, if you would, Sister Tangela, that the Bible uses specifically about confusion sexually. Brothers and sisters, what Sister Tangela has just made, in the news article, what she just read, and is basically like this. Here's a public school system, a state mandate that they're going to mandate the teaching of the contributions in the history of an LGBTQRSTUV movement. Now, I'm going to be respectful because I have my personal understanding of this. You are looking at, brothers and sisters who are people of Scripture, a time in which Sodom and Gomorrah, Nineveh, and other societies, including ancient Rome, were destroyed for their public acceptance and their allowance and even commission and activity level of something that is detrimental to the reproductive way of God's intention of life. Let me break that down, what I'm trying to say. It's one thing to do something that is questionable sexually. Okay, when I say that, meaning like according to the science of sexuality. Way prior to 1972, I think it was, when the American Psychological Association mandated that homosexuality was a mental disorder. Way before that mandate, where they said, no, it's no longer a mental disorder, it's a lifestyle change. Okay. They also had the same plan to depopulate the planet at that time. So for those who don't have a comment about this, I'm going to comment and say they're trying to teach your children homosexuality. Whether you understand that or not, I understand that. And the people who are most impressionable are the young. They don't have this kind of class for collegiate students. They don't have this kind of class for adults. You know what I'm saying, Sister Tangela?
Yeah.
These are for children. And psychologically, and I'm an undergraduate student in psychology, they teach that the most impressionable minds are the young mind. You and I, Sister Tangela, sat in with a child psychologist one time. And they said that a human being is not aware of its purposeful meaning of what it does until they're age 21. So why would the United States government allow this, knowing psychologically, it's not some guess, knowing that people are not responsible until the age 21. And so this is something that is a plan to institute this. Everywhere I go, I'm on a college campus, I see more people who are adopting this confused sexual mind state, don't even know why they feel that way because it's being taught. That's part of the impressionism of this. And so that's part of the agenda, brothers and sisters. If you don't know your enemy, then you won't know this. The only way to fight that is you got to go and put yourself out there, brothers and sisters, and say to your local representatives of your state, if you're in the state of New Jersey, you need to tell them, look, I don't want this being taught. You need to make your voices heard, and you need to tell them you're going to pull your money and your children out of public school if they continue in that course of action. What else you got for us?
The next article from BlackAmericanWeb.com. Tennessee judge says black men wearing black hoodies are more dangerous than the KKK.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah. This article is actually pretty funny. Judge Wayne Shelton said that he's at a pretrial of a young man who was accused of murdering another black man. And he goes on to say that black men are more dangerous to other black men than white presidents ever were. He said, I grew up at a time where people wore white robes and they shot at black people. And now we see young black men wearing black hoodies shooting at black men. He said that he's grew up at a time where he said he was more effective at the job than the Ku Klux Klan ever been. He said how black people are now killing other black people is more effective than the Klan were ever in the past.
Well,
and he goes on to say, in the very end, he said that the horrible tragedy is Black Lives Matter. The Klan doesn't exist anymore. Who doesn't care about Black lives now?
I'll let you answer that. I'm tired of black men killing black men. If I offend anyone, I can't help it.
Well,
I'm the whitest man in the room because my great-great-great-grandfather was a free man of color.
Lord have mercy. At least he knows his great-great-great-great-grand father or his mother, whatever, they had some relations with the opposite.
Yeah, was a free man of color.
Yeah. So what you had to say about that, sister?
You know, deep down, I understand what he's trying to convey, what he's trying to say.
Yeah. That
we are killing ourselves at a record number of rates than anybody else in our community. I do understand that. Mm-hmm. However, it wasn't his place to say that. I guess as a judge, and you're overseeing a case of a young man, black man who killed another young black man. You know, I think that just goes to show the psychological dysfunction in our community.
Absolutely.
You know, but the Klan still exists.
Well said, Sister Tangela. I don't even have an additional comment. You said it best. Black on black crime is an indication of a psychological dysfunction in the black community. Yeah. Sister Tangela, you said it best. You must be in my class. You must be in my class with the other students who are studying what they call it, sadomasochism. Black on black crime, brothers and sisters, is a problem, but it does not excuse an enemy who's killing us. The Klan actually became from the cross-burning type. They are now judges like him. There are also scientists in schools, or teachers in schools. There are also superintendents. They're now presidents of the United States of America, having policies that kill us in a wholesale manner. In 2 weeks, they become congressmen. I mean, they do their killing now clandestine. According to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said many years ago, he got a letter from the Klan leader at that time, J.B. Stoner, who said, in the future, we will no longer wear robes, but we'll be your judges, we'll be your police officers, we'll be your scientists and whatnot. So people who don't understand this, they need to understand that, yes, he himself understands that the Klan is good people for him because they're teaching white supremacy, which doesn't exist. And so what happens for us as black men and black women is we are killing ourselves because of the institutional racism. The reality of it. I mean, if you got music that tells you to kill yourself, if you got music that tells you to do this and that they put out there, the Jewish media puts that out there. And see, a lot of people don't understand that. And so as we get into this discussion tonight about the psychological war against black leaders, it's also a psychological war against black people in the effect itself. Sister Tangela, what else you got for us?
The next article is from WashingtonInformer.com. Muhammad, how to pass the Farrakhan litmus test.
All right.
Okay, here we are. The name of Louis Farrakhan is being used as a wedge by opponents of the resurrection of black people to undermine anyone who would dare to attempt to lead that rise. Here's how the hustle works. So a person who has association with Mr. Farrakhan can be found by any black personality. That person must sooner than later denounce the Muslim leader, or their personal career or their organization will be ruined.
Right.
It's called the Farrakhan litmus test.
Absolutely.
Now, Mr. Farrakhan does not hate Jewish people. He does not hate white people. He does not teach hatred of Jews. He does not teach hatred of whites. And the same can be said concerning women and those who are LGBTQIA. Farrakhan does not hate. He does not teach hate.
Right.
The article goes on to say that these outside critics who dictate who black leaders may or may not associate with would never permit black folks to tell them who they can choose to lead their temples.
Absolutely.
Or tell them
well said.
They would be banished unless they denounce Jewish Talmud,
right,
which says that poor Jesus should be
boiled
in
excrement. Yeah.
Would they?
That's their book. Their book.
Exactly. But Mr. Farrakhan is not measured by equal standard. He will continue to be used as a wedge. So as long as black leaders let themselves be bullied by outsiders and the communities, will be worse off.
Absolutely.
The article goes on to say that he commends D.C. Council member Trayvon White, Bishop Charles L. Ellis III, former presiding bishop of the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World, and the pastor of Detroit's Grace Temple, where Miss Aretha Franklin's funeral was held, and also Linda Salser, Bob Bland, and Tamika Mallory, the leaders of the Women's March.
Right.
They have not capitulated to the demands of outsiders to the Nancy minister. Good for them.
Absolutely. What's your comment on this stuff?
And I agree with him. You know, it's sad that our leaders are being made to denounce someone who has done nothing but been the utmost best thing that could ever happen to this black community. You know, I feel sorry for those who feel that they must come forward and denounce minister, because honestly, they're just simply driving themselves into the ground with that.
Well, you know, the reality is this. When you look at the Farrakhan litmus test, it's ultimately a black leader test.
It is.
You either going to submit to the Israeli lobby and white supremacy, and what they want you to do as a black person or a black politician or a black business person or a black personality or black whatever. You're going to do what you want, or we're going to ruin your career and ruin your business. Our guest tonight, Dr. Umar, is one of those who had an attempt at ruining his well-being, his financial well-being, his name. He's still being slandered in the news media, particularly black media, and we're going to give him an opportunity to talk about his business tonight, because I don't believe in slander. You and I both know the Honorable Ms. Louis Farrakhan did nothing against black folk. He spent his entire life helping black men and women better themselves. That's the Nation of Islam, so we can have a better world. But the enemy who wants to kill you, who is killing you and me, brothers and sisters, wants that man and others who they don't like. Because our sister Angela Davis, a great revolutionary black leader from the 60s, she was about to get an award, and the Jewish lobby said, no, we don't like her. And so the black organization, BCRI, out there in Alabama, said we withdraw the nomination of Angela Davis. Back in the day, they said Jesse Jackson shouldn't have been voted in as a presidential candidate because we don't like him. The Honorable Ms. Louis Farrakhan defended him. Then they started hating the minister. That's how the history of it starts. Who is the media that's playing this psychological war against black leaders? The ones that are putting it out there. Who is that? Who's the hidden hand? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. You got anything else, Sister Tangela?
The last article is from blackdoctor.org.
Okay.
Black men and depression, top 8 signs.
All right.
More than 5 million men in the United States experience depression every year. The common sign of depression in men can include sleeping too much or too little, pain.
Okay. All right.
Pain, loss of focus.
Yes.
Anger, stress, substance abuse, sexual dysfunction, and suicidal thoughts.
Wow.
This is a wonderful article. I recommend everyone go onto the
Facebook page
and read it, because they get go into details about each particular sign.
Yes, ma'am.
And how to recognize it.
Absolutely. And will you have any comment on that, Sister Tangela?
You know, I think that, honestly, black men, there's not enough help out there for black men.
Right.
I think that a lot of men don't seek psychological help.
Yeah.
Because they feel, well, the black community don't do it either.
Right.
We just don't want to go see a psychologist because it's been deemed taboo. You know? So, but I'm praying and hoping that many of those who see themselves experiencing these type of signs will seek the professional help from psychologists. Well,
we got a black psychologist tonight, Sister Tangela, a clinical psychologist dealing with the children's development and also many other subjects. I applaud Dr. Umar, and I love and admire this man for dealing with black men and black boy issues along with others. He's starting a school. I believe it's, and he'll correct me if I'm wrong today, but I believe it's for black boys, because black boys, as those who listened in last week, black men, there's more missing black men than there is any other group in America. And it's not talked about because no one gives a damn about black men. But I'm a black man, I give a damn about me. And so it is with black boys and black depression. Nobody talks about a black man being depressed, committing suicide. We got extremely high suicide rates. But nobody cares about that because they want us to die anyway. And some of our people, Sister Tangela, including some of our black women, want brothers to die. That's that whole LGBTQ mentality. I hate men, so I want a woman. That's the agenda of Satan. And the Satan I'm talking about is media. And so, Sister Tangela, we want to thank you again for wonderful news. Brothers and sisters, we're going to go and talk about this subject ad nauseam. May Allah bless you, Sister Tangela. We thank you for the news. Inshallah, we'll talk with you soon next week. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Wa alaikum salam.
Brothers and sisters, we're going into the subject at hand today. Our brother, Dr. Umar Johnson, will be with us right after these messages coming from the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Hold tight. We'll get to our subject right after this. Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
FinalCall.com. FinalCall.com. One word, FinalCall.com. The award-winning website for the realest and most accurate black news available on the planet. FinalCall.com. Fair, reasonable, accurate, and inclusive. We are a unifying website. FinalCall.com. Go there today.
This is your brother here, Brother Michael Muhammad, executive producer of Nat Turner Library Radio, and your brother. That's Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, The Black Woman. Did you know that the black mind has been under attack since the creation of the Caucasian 6,600 years ago? Ever wonder the connection between a black hole and the power of black women? Did you know that there is a mathematic connection between black people and the blackness of the universe? Want to know the true purpose of the women's liberation movement in the 60s and the original one that was in the late 1800s? What is the Louisiana-Mississippi syndrome? Again, that's the Louisiana-Mississippi syndrome. All of this and more in Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, The Black Woman. This is my first book, and this will not be the last. Go to the website, bromichaelmuhammad.com. That's BROMICHAELMUHAMMAD.com. You can also go to Facebook and type in Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, and call me direct if you would like to book any engagements or anything dealing with Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind. 678-906-6306. 678-906-6306. This is your brother, Michael Muhammad, in Nat Turner Library Radio.
Stay tuned for Nat Turner Library Radio.
The Marcus Garvey Mid-Atlantic Movement. It will be a special initiative to organize brothers and sisters who live in the Mid-Atlantic section of America. Delaware is the first state of the United States, and it will be the first state for the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. If you live in Delaware, you need to hit me up. If you are in Delaware and you are serious about nation building, if you live in Delaware and you are serious about nation building, whether that is FDMG, whether that is Team Pan-African, whether that is NIBPA, whether that is the Unapologetically African Movement, I need you to text me 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. Again, 215-989-9858. If you are serious, we are approximately speaking of Connecticut down to D.C. Connecticut down to D.C. If you live in New York, if you live in New Jersey, if you live in Connecticut, if you live in Pennsylvania, if you live in Delaware, if you live in Maryland, let me say it again. If you live in the state of New York, if you live in the state of Connecticut, if you live in the state of New Jersey, if you live in the state of Pennsylvania, if you live in the state of Delaware, and if you live in the state of Maryland, those 6 states will make up the Marcus Garvey Mid-Atlantic Movement of Team Pan-African. And if you live in one of those 6 states, ultimately it's going to spread to all 50 states. We are Pan-Africanists. We are about everybody. I just want to use those 6 states as a launching pad, as a foundation upon which we can organize all African people across the country and around the world, brothers and sisters. I need you to text me 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. Again, 215-989-9858. If you are serious.
It's your brother here, Michael Muhammad from Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Brothers and sisters, I have recently launched my new writing, Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, which is dedicated to the study of the mind of the black woman and how our enemies have attacked the black woman to get to ultimately the black community. But I also have a website, bromichaelmuhammad.com, BROMICHAELMUHAMMAD.com. That's bromichaelmuhammad.com. On this, you will see me. You will see the M6X apparel, which has beautiful shirts, 100% organic black shirt. For the sisters, we have the Be Yourself, Love Yourself shirt. The shirt that says, I'm not a toy for a little boy, I need a man with a plan. And for our conscious sisters, modesty is loving yourself. When you disrespect women, you destroy the future for everyone. We have the shirts of 100% organic black, which gives all the attributes of our organic black man and woman. We have Honor Thy Mother and Thy Father. We have the 100% Black God shirt, one of the most popular. We have the Know Your Enemy shirt with the atrocities that have happened to the black man and woman of North America on the back. And we also have the Checkmate book cover shirt in many different colors. We also have fragrances are available. You just simply have to tell me which one you need. And these are all the things you can find on bromichaelmuhammad.com. That's bromichaelmuhammad.com. The website, you can go to it from your e-reader, you can go to it from your tablet, you can go to it from your PC. You can also reach me directly at michaelasia33@gmail.com. It's michaelasia33@gmail.com. You may also call me direct at 678-906-6306. Peace.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
All right, brothers and sisters, you are back. You are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Tonight's subject, media psychological war against black leaders. Our key guest tonight, interview with Dr. Umar Johnson. That's Dr. Umar Johnson is in the building, brothers and sisters. And so I just want to make it clear to you, brothers and sisters, when we talk about a man like a Dr. Umar Johnson, who's been around the world fighting for the advocacy, if you would, for black liberation, who's put his life on his line, put his financial career on the line for you and me, for our children, he deserves our time, our respect, because there's not many. I'm a black man who's trying to fight for us. And believe me, as an NAACP president told me when I was a teenager, he said, Michael, helping black folk is a thankless job. So I want to take this time to thank Dr. Umar for coming on tonight again to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Brothers and sisters, let me introduce you to this man who is one of the best that I have seen at speaking the truth unapologetically. He's definitely unapologetically African. He is a black liberation specialist, and he is a clinical psychologist here to help you and I with these various psychological wars that we're experiencing against leadership and against our own reality. I speak none other than Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson, welcome to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show.
Thank you. Glad to be on the show. Black Power.
Black Power, indeed. Well, Dr. Umar, let me first tell the audience, you're going to be speaking this Saturday in Hamden, Connecticut. The subject is going to be exposing Connecticut school to prison pipeline, to power lecture. Is that right?
Absolutely. Saturday, February the 23rd, 4 p.m. Doors open up at 2. at the Whitneyville Cultural Commons Sanctuary in Hamden, Connecticut. My first time there. If anyone needs to get a ticket for that event, they can go to drumarjohnson.com, drumarjohnson.com to get the ticket, or they can text me for the link, 215-989-9858. Again, 215-989-9858. They can text me for the link or get it online. But tickets will be available at the door for a little more than 20 online, probably 25 at the door. All children 17 and under, as is the case with all my lectures, absolutely free, and all elders 65 and older, also as is the case with all my lectures, absolutely free. College students, full-time college students, $10 at the door with ID.
Well, thank you for that consideration for those three categories, our elders, our youth, and those who are financially stricken with college thing. I'm a college student myself now, and I know exactly what is meant by that. You know, you can't really work a full-time job when you're in college. So thank you, Dr. Umar, for looking out for our people. How well? You have a new book came out last year, and how can they also purchase that on drumarjohnson.com?
Well, Psychoacademic Holocaust, the Special Education and ADHD Wars Against Black Boys, they can purchase that at drumarjohnson.com. The second book, which should have come out towards the end of last year, Black Parent Advocate, The Art of War for Dealing with America's Public and Charter Schools, that has not yet went to print. I'm in the final stages of the book now. I'm hoping to have it ready before spring.
Indeed, indeed. Well, just let me know, and I'll let the audience know, because we need that subject matter expertise that you represent, beloved. Well, let's talk about the subject at hand. First and foremost, congratulations, beloved. Thank you for the first stages of opening up the school in Delaware. Would you like to go further in that announcement?
Yes. There will be a meeting in Delaware, which is only open to Black Delaware. You must live within the 3 counties of the state of Delaware, and that meeting will be on Thursday, February the 28th, the last day of Black History Month, this coming Thursday, a week from tonight. It will be a 7 to 9 meeting. It will not be a lecture, but it will be a meeting. Doors open up at 6, and if anyone physically lives in Delaware, they are a resident of Delaware, a citizen of Delaware, then they can text message me or email me, drumarjohnson@yahoo.com, or at the 215-989-9858 number, and I will give them the information for that. There's no need for me to state the address on air, as only those who live in Delaware can actually physically come to that. And that will just be an opportunity for me to introduce myself to those brothers and sisters who live in Delaware, especially around the immediate area of the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, so they can hear about me from me, as opposed to going to YouTube and listening to so much misinformation and distorted information and flat-out untruths about me and the school. So that's, I'm showing respect, some African hospitality. You're moving into someone else's neighborhood, their state, their town, their county. It's only right that I, introduce myself the right way to the brothers and sisters in Delaware.
Brother, you are a true Asiatic African, and let me explain. The proper way to deal with people is one of the biggest challenges I've seen in this so-called conscious movement, and you are absolutely correct. You're going into a new state, a new area. That's how we do it, and familiarity brings love, and so a lot of times I've seen those people in these so-called videos that I call them so-called videos because they just people talking stupid on there about you. You know what I mean? On YouTube and whatnot. They just be out there talking stuff. And I'm like, what's the purpose of this? You don't know, brother. You see what I'm saying? This is what I tell others. I'm like, I don't listen to so-and-so about Dr. Umar. I don't listen to those people about that. I talk to the brother. And I don't know them. 4-letter words and making statements about a man who's trying to do something for his people, that's not African. You see what I'm saying? And so out of respect, it's not African in any form. In fact, those Hotepas you talk about, the ones who claim to be Mayat,
You know,
yes, sir.
They don't go. They don't even go by the 42 laws of Mayat, which says don't do harm and don't speak ill of people. They don't even live by that. And so I had to tell one brother that last month. He didn't want to talk to me no more. I said, brother, the laws of Mayat say, according to you, what you say, you know, the laws of Mayat are. You don't even go by that. You up here talking about this brother, this doing this. Next thing you know, he don't want to talk to me. So that's fine. But you had mentioned a term just a moment ago about misinformation. And I'm an undergraduate student now of psychology. You are a clinical psychologist for many years. Misinformation, brothers and sisters, is what we want to talk about tonight as a main subject. But I want to first and foremost give the opportunity for you to know how to help Dr. Umar. I want to say it again. Thank you, Dr. Umar, for starting the school. I just want to ask a question. Is this still for black boys or is it everyone else as well?
It will be initially, the first couple of years at least, school will be exclusively for black boys. And then after such time that we have settled into our culture and our regiment, we will then extend the opportunity for our young ladies to come and be educated at FDMG as well within the ADAG, Anna Douglas and Amy Jakes Garvey Academy for the Young African Princesses. But Beautiful. That will be several years down the line. Initially, our focus will be on the reconstruction of the black boy's psyche.
Indeed. Thank you, brother. I was just telling my wife before the show, she had that question because, you know, her being a black woman, you know, I'm a member of the Nation of Islam, as you know, and we believe in separation, and you're doing that which we ask people to do, and that is set up schools for yourself. You see what I'm saying? You out there, you're a school psychologist. You've dealt with what the reality is, and you know the solution is teaching your people yourself. And I want to thank you for that, specifically for the black boy and the black man. You know, I know brothers that are listening. You know exactly what I'm talking about, brothers that are listening. There's nothing for us out here. I have been involved with a lot of groups. Nobody really cares too much about black men's psyche. No one cares about the development of black boys. Everything is for our sisters, and the sisters deserve a lot, but we need something for black boys. And I want to thank you for being one of the first, if not the first, for a school for black boys with an Afrocentric or African-minded, conscious education. I want to thank you.
I appreciate that, brother. And to let your listeners know that if they're interested in dedicating to the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, they can send check or money order payable to the FDMG Academy, 96, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware. I repeat, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware, and that is 19802.
So that's the FD
9634, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. Excuse me. Let me say it one more time. It's brand new.
Yes, sir.
FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809.
19809, Wilmington, Delaware.
Yes,
brother, I'll also put this on our social media page. Delaware is a wonderful, nice, quiet, agricultural-based state. Delaware State, I've been through it many times in my time living in Virginia, going to New York. I'm originally from New York. You had to pass through Delaware to go to New York, especially if you live in Hampton Roads like I did. And Delaware has a lot of black people in there. And Delaware State is a HBCU, and so right off of Route 13. And I look forward to the people in Delaware, as you stated in your video. It's the first state of the union. It's going to be the first place to try to create this conscious movement, if you would, particularly from I love this idea of a black boys' school because we need it. We need a special attention. And I want to ask you some questions in reference to starting this up, without dealing with the haters, because I don't even want to talk about them. I want to talk about the psychology of what happens to our people when they see media, and it's not just, white media or Jewish media I'm talking about, just media in general, particularly the so-called conscious black media, who take the opportunity to attack black leaders in general, black people who are trying. It's a lot of people I can mention. People like Mark Lamont Hill was being a traditional media. You yourself were attacked by traditional media, so-called black media as well, and continue to be attacked on social media by some people who really have no agenda whatsoever. And the problem I have as a student, undergraduate student here in the world of psychology, I'm seeing something in the learning process of our people. Our people are not trusting anybody. And I'd like to get your take as a psychologist to what effects does all this attack, not just against yourself, but against many other black leaders? How does that affect our people overall?
It breeds a paranoia against unity, is what it does. Because when you go through decade after decade, constantly seeing black people undermine other black people, constantly see black people mishandle, mistreat other black people, then you create a mental culture, a core belief system that says it is impossible for black people to work together. And so that breeds this paranoia against unity, where everyone has a million reasons not to unite and almost no reasons for why they should unite. And when you look at how mass media as well as ghetto media operate, they basically operate on the same paradigm, and that is the repetitious, putting out of inaccurate information. So I don't care if you're looking at CNN or if you're looking at Dr. Umar in the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy as it is being discussed on YouTube. You type in Dr. Umar FDMG, you're going to get over 200 videos by people who don't know me, most of them never met me, putting out extremely false information. But what, same thing on CNN, they'll tell you a million times that, Al-Qaeda did this, or a million times, that somebody else did this. And the reason repetition is so key is neuroscience. Science of the brain and how you condition the brain is based on repetition. Adolf Hitler, it was his propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels, who was a psychologist, who basically created the framework for modern European media. The entire European world uses the principles of Nazi Germany, in particular, that which was articulated by Joseph Goebbels, who was a psychologist. And Hitler himself, one of his most potent quotes, he said, "It's not difficult to deceive and brainwash people. Give them a lie, keep the lie big, keep it simple, and say it over and over again. A lie repeated cannot be resisted. A lie repeated cannot be resisted. It becomes the truth." And we say that, truth is stronger than falsehood. That's definitely true on the spiritual level. But on the political level, falsehood is stronger than truth, because falsehood gets the repetition. Truth does not.
Well said. Well said. Now, I want to talk to you as a student, undergraduate student in the world of psychology. What you're describing is in my textbook. It's called the misinformation effect, and it's under the category of memory problems. And brothers and sisters who are not familiar, Dr. Umar just gave a very high-level class on what the media has done to black leaders and black people in general. It says here in this textbook, the misinformation effect is a tendency of false or misleading information presented after the fact to become mistakenly incorporated into your memory. This is written of and studied by Pickrell et al. In 2004. And it says the misinformation effect can especially be important if the memory was a crucial element in courtroom trials. It then becomes the truth to the individual if repeated. That's exactly what the textbooks of psychology, I'm just reading now, brothers and sisters, this ain't Brother Michael's book. This is the textbooks of psychology So the enemy knows this. The Willie Lynch syndrome that is often talked about in the conscious world, Dr. Umar, where Sir William Lynch, in Virginia, when he came to the shores of the James River, he talked about how causing disunity and distrust amongst blacks brings perpetual enslavement. Am I correct in that statement?
Absolutely.
And I see a huge amount of that in this so-called media misalignment. I watched a video, for example, last week. I won't say the brother's name because it's not really African to do that, who was talking so much trash about Dr. Umar, and I'm sitting there listening to this fool, right? This is a well-known brother, and I call him a fool because I'm saying to myself, what is the brother's agenda? Then there was another brother. What is the brother's agenda? How is he helping black people with this? That's a question for those of you that are listening. When you hear a black person talking ill of another black person publicly, they are a tool for the enemy. They are a psychological tool for the big media that is trying to and is doing a very good job of exterminating black people. I want to make that abundantly clear. So this media platform, the Nat Turner Library Radio, we have never done that. We won't do that. If there's somebody I don't like, I just won't talk to them. It's better to leave it alone. But I want to ask you a question from a psychological perspective. If a brother has a problem with you or a sister has a problem with you, with anything you're doing, what's the best way for them to express that to you so that way you can come to some form of unity with them?
I'm reachable. I'm probably the most reachable personality in black consciousness, despite my responsibilities. Everyone has my direct personal cell number, my direct personal email address. You know, someone who says they can't reach me, that's an absolute falsehood because I can be reached. But when you look at these people who have differences, and we got to be clear, it kind of reminds me of W.E.B. Du Bois' attacks against the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. Many people assumed their differences were over ideology. Their differences were not over ideology, because after Du Bois and A. Philip Randolph and Chandler Owen and Cyril Briggs and the rest of the Negro YZ, once they got Mr. Garvey deported back to Jamaica, many of them, especially the boys, began to articulate Garvey's same philosophy. So if it was about ideology, okay, why would you begin parroting the very same ideology of the man you claim didn't have a program that was in the best interest of African Americans? So clearly, indeed, ideology wasn't it, because you became that very same ideology post-deportation. It was HNIC. It was jealousy. The true issue was HNIC. So again, using that same example, W.E.B. Du Bois graduates from Harvard the same year Frederick Douglass, my ancestor, transitions. After Frederick Douglass transitions, Booker T. Washington becomes the quote-unquote figurative leader of black America. And then after Booker T passes on, W.E.B. Du Bois assumes, because of his own unique elitism, the Harvard education, the University of Pennsylvania professorship, the Berlin education, Fisk, the whole nine. He thought because of white credentials, he had a right to lead. The way he saw it, I had to wait for Douglass, I had to wait for Booker, it's my turn. And as soon as he attempted to assume that leadership mantle, it was Mr. Garvey who showed up from Jamaica and was able to organize black people better than any black leader we've ever seen in modern history. And so that was jealousy. He was jealous that Garvey was able to do what he could not do. And I would argue that with black consciousness today, those who take issue with me, it's not over ideology. Even if they are of a different ideology, most of them are not. Most of them are of the same ideology. They're either black nationalists or Pan-Africanists or cultural nationalists. So it's not ideology, it's HNIC. They want to be the head Negro in charge, and they see me as a block or an obstacle to them assuming that position.
Wow, and well said, well said. To quote something that I heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say, I didn't hear him personally, obviously. This is something I read years ago. he said that Marcus Garvey was the most successful black leader we've had. He had 5 million people when there was only 19 million of us in the country. That was part of the UNIA movement, and so, you know, he in his lecture compilation that his wife put together, one of the Rastafarian brothers told me that's the best book to read about Marcus Garvey. I remember reading Garvey's statement about religion. He said that there'll be someone in the future who'll deal with that, but right now he said he sees religion as a problem for black people because so many people have their ideologies and they don't want to unify with others as a result of their religious ideology. This is what Marcus Garvey had said in this one particular letter that he wrote that his wife had compiled. And it's something to think about, brothers and sisters, when you look at unity. What boundaries do we present ourselves to a brother like a Dr. Umar or let's say a Dr. Wesley or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and others? I have not talked to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan personally. I'm just saying that to give an example, Dr. Umar. But I've talked to quite a few black leaders, from Chairman Nzinga to different people, just regular old people, and then there's famous people. One thing I can say is what you just described is exactly what I'm noticing with a lot of different groups. Most people have problems with each other when they don't communicate or they have an ego issue. And for those Hoteppers, and I'm going to leave this alone and I want to go on to something more positive, but most Hoteppers who study the laws of Mayat, let me just read a couple of these to you so you understand that Dr. Umar is speaking exactly what you yourself, those people who study Mayat, you need to understand. Mayat law number 23 means I have not terrorized anyone. Mayat number 42, it says 41, I have not acted in insolence. There's another one that says I have not placed myself on a pedestal. I see so many of you on YouTube talking about people, whether it be Dr. Umar or others. You talking, Mayat law number 35, it says I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. These are your laws of Mayat that you claim, a lot of you in the conscious community, brothers and sisters. And so our brother Dr. Umar just said he's accessible. If you have any challenges, you want to work with him, whatever the case, call him. If you got a problem with me, Brother Michael, email me, call me. I just put my number out there in the commercial. Don't do it on social media. Don't do it behind someone's back. Don't make a 30 or 40 or 2-hour video saying my reasons why I don't like Dr. Umar. That's stupid. Because then those of us who have some kind of intellectual design, brothers and sisters, we don't want to listen to you. We'd rather listen to someone else. Dr. Umar, thank you for that explanation.
One other point, if I may, Brother Mike.
Yes, sir.
One other point, if I may. YouTube has intensified the self-hate network, and YouTube has monetized the self-hate network. So that phone call that we're inviting people to make if they have an issue with you or I is not very likely to get made because you don't get paid for making that phone call. But if you go on YouTube and do a video, you will get paid for making that video. And you will get paid based on the amount of other Negroes who are addicted to negativity watch it. So there is no incentive to peacefully eliminate beef in consciousness because YouTube will pay you, okay, to advertise that beef and share it publicly. See, the problem with YouTube is twofold. First of all, it is revolutionary in a negative way in that for the first time in world history, every single human being has the ability to create their own visual media platform. Every single human being has the ability to create their own visual media platform via YouTube. That's never been seen before. Before, you had to get the news from CNN or CBS or whomever. And although they put out lies, they have editors whose job is to try as much as possible to clean the lies out, which they never do for us. But nonetheless, there's an editor there. And the job of the editor is to check and separate, okay, assumptions from facts.
Yes, sir.
YouTube doesn't have that. You go direct to the world, unfiltered, without an editor, and you get paid for the amount of people who watch that filth. So those personalities on YouTube, especially those whose main income is YouTube, they have to make the attacks as virulent and as negative and as derogatory as necessary, because the black community operates on a negativity vibration. So the higher, or should I say the lower the vibration, the more black people will watch it. We as a people don't want to hear anything positive. That's why there's 300 negative videos about Dr. Umar, not 300 positive. There's not a single video on YouTube, not a single one, that talks about how I've saved more black boys from special ed than any other educator who ever lived in this country. There's no video on that. There's no video of how I revolutionized how black parents deal with ADHD. There's no video on that. There's no video on what I've done internationally. There's no video on that. The most requested black scholar in the world, almost 10 years straight. No one comes close to it. There's no video on that. All the videos are negativity because nobody wants to see nothing positive. Even after the FDMG announcement, most of the videos were negative because we don't want to watch anything positive. We want negativity. That's why reality shows, speaking of media, that's why reality shows are so popular. Because reality shows thrive on conflict. They thrive on it. If there's no conflict, nobody's going to watch it. And so the Hoteppers, the YouTube community, they know this. Black people love negativity. So if I want to get paid, I have to play to the weaknesses and the low vibratory nature at which my community is. They could bring up that vibration. They could rise it. They could raise it, but they don't want to do that. They want to meet the people where they are as opposed to bringing them up. It's almost like the gangster rappers, Brother Mike. You ask them, why do you include so much violence and misogyny and criminal activity in your rap lyrics? They say, well, I'm just reflecting the community in which I grew up. Well, brother, I can understand. But as an artist has a two-part responsibility. An artist must reflect their reality, yes. Yes, you do. You must reflect your reality, and also has the obligation of projecting a new reality. So you must show the people where they are, and then you must show them where we need to go. And I would even look at YouTube, our brothers and sisters on YouTube, I would even see them as artists, Brother Mike. So although they're meeting the people where they are on a low negative vibrational frequency, but you also have the responsibility to raise it. So once you hook them in with the negativity, you need to then alchemize that and switch it and bring them up to a higher frequency. In other words, we understand you got to hook the fish under the water, but then once the hook is in the fish, you then bring the fish out of the water. And the problem with our YouTube journalists is the same as our gangster rappers. It's the same as our black celebrities in the entertainment business. Y'all go to where the people are, we understand that, but y'all never raise their vibration. And that makes you as responsible for what's going on as what they're doing, because you're doing nothing to change the intellectual, spiritual, or social vibration of African people. You're keeping them there, and the reason you're keeping them there is because the white man is subsidizing you. He's paying you to keep your people dumb, deaf, and blind.
Oh, Lord have mercy. There is the conspiracy. Therein lies the conspiracy, brothers and sisters. You heard it from Dr. Umar himself. Thank you, Dr. Umar, for that explanation. I never, it was so plain, I didn't see it. People are getting paid for these videos. It's funny you say that because, all the videos I put out, I put podcasts, I monetize them sometime, but Dr. Umar, YouTube won't pay me for none of my stuff.
No, sir, they won't, because, no, sir, brother. They only pay for negativity. Go ahead.
Right. No, I'm adding on to what you're saying. Go ahead. You continue talking. Yes, sir.
Now, I had a YouTube page. First of all, I wasn't interested in doing one. I didn't think it would last anyway. But when Black Panther came out, I said, okay. When the Black Panther movie came out, I said, I'm going to start a YouTube page because folks keep on asking me to do a YouTube page. They say they're not on Facebook, they're not on Instagram. but they can't go on YouTube. So I said, okay, with Black Panther, March the 10th, the date that Queen Mother Harriet Tubman transitioned, I started my first YouTube page, and I did my analysis of the Black Panther movie. And then I probably did maybe 3 or 4 other videos. The last video I did before they took me off was about special education. They literally shut me down for teaching parents how to navigate the special education situation. So after they shut me down, I said, that's it, I'm done. So right now, I don't have a YouTube page. I've never had one except for that 1 month I think they allowed me to survive on YouTube. 1 month. But there's pages of me on YouTube. There's a Dr. Umar page. I don't know who controls that. There's a King Kong Consciousness. There's an International E52. And that's another problem I got, Brother Mike, because you got these Negroes who will go and misrepresent themselves as you. And so people think that these are your pages because they have all of Dr. Umar's videos on them. Wow. Which is not a problem in and of itself, but the problem, Brother Mike, you're being paid for this. I got videos with millions of views. You're being paid, and not one of these Negroes with my videos on their page, Brother Mike. Not a single person in YouTube history with a video of mine on their page has ever said, let me drop a check in the mail for the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy because I'm being paid, in many cases, strictly off Dr. Umar information and content, and they haven't even made a donation to the school.
And in other words, they're stealing. You know,
they're stealing my intellectual property, brother, and not even giving any of it back for the boys. I do not have a YouTube page, for the record.
Wow, Dr. Umar, I didn't know that. So I did see the King Kong Consciousness one, and I said that's kind of out there to have that as a YouTube page. But you know, I said, I was like, good Lord, I know Dr. Umar. You know, he's a good brother, strong. So I was like, I don't think it. That was kind of rough, right? King Kong Consciousness. I said, okay, KKK. All right. Dr. Umar, I want to read a letter from the National Security Council. I read this with Chairman Nzinga. I read part of this with Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad and a few other black leaders. And I want to read this with you and get your comment as well, because what you're talking about is exactly there. Brothers and sisters, if you're listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show, and you know others that have said something stupid about Dr. Umar or whatever, tell them to call this number. It's 515-605-9882. Tell them to hear the good spirit of this brother and his good intention. I'm also going to upload this podcast for y'all to listen to. And Dr. Umar, let's make this for the record. I haven't gotten paid from YouTube either. I upload these podcasts. I do these shows. Nobody's giving me no money, no how. This is all voluntary, out of my pocket money. You know, so I understand exactly what you're saying. We don't get paid on trying to do the right thing, brothers and sisters. We don't get paid on that. We get paid on your love. And so support the school. But, Dr. Umar, this letter I want to read, I was reading it to them. It's well known now, even the Hebrew Israelites, believe it or not. Brother told me last month the Hebrew Israelites here in Atlanta started reading this letter, and they're trying to change what they're doing amongst their people so that they're not victim of this. It's called NSCM, also stands for National Security Council Memorandum 46. It's a Supreme Court document from 1978, March 17th. And guess who was the writer of this? Zbigniew Brzezinski, who was then Secretary of the State, I believe. And it had to do with the response of how to deal with the black conscious movement. Their exact words were Black Africa and the U.S. Black Movement. And one of the recommendations that Zbigniew Brzezinski gave in 1978 was that in interest of the United States and Black Africa, these are exact words, basic recommendations without the intent to imply are priority here in America. Steps must be taken to help and appropriate government agencies to inhibit coordinated activity of the black movement in the United States. Number 2, special clandestine. And brothers and sisters, if you don't know what clandestine means, it just means secret. Special secret operations should be launched by the CIA to generate mistrust, hostility in America and the world opinion between stopping the two forces now between Black Africa and America. there must be division caused between black African radical national groups and their leaders. End quote. Now, this isn't Brother Michael's statement, brothers and sisters who are listening. That is the United States. That's not COINTELPRO, brothers and sisters. That is 100 levels above COINTELPRO. That is, at that point, Secretary of the State giving a national security memorandum to a group of individuals on how to handle black America, in particular the black nationalist movement. They stated over 40 years ago they have to cause mistrust in the black conscious movement. Dr. Umar, I'd like to get your comment on that, and then we'll move on to more positive things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm familiar with that, on that. And what that there is Zbigniew Brzezinski's words in plain English states is the number one threat to American domestic and foreign interests and white supremacy in general is revolutionary Pan-African nationalism. He just said it. The coordinated efforts between Africans in Africa in particular, but the diaspora in general, and blacks in America, that is kryptonite to white supremacy. And that is the only thing they're concerned about. That's the only thing that they're concerned about. You see, and so for me, it's important that we continue to fight and organize with our brothers and sisters around the world, because there's always going to be movements funded by the government or just inspired by the government that's going to try to drive a wedge between Africans from different parts of the world. There's a new movement out right now that is to do exactly what Zbigniew Brzezinski recommends be done, and that is divide us along ethnic lines. And we can't have any parts of that. You know, Pan-Africanism has always been the white man's fear. You take the black man and woman of America's education and our income, and you marry that to the numerical strength and the resources of Africa, we would be the next world superpower overnight.
Overnight.
And when you speak of sowing that discord, I've been told by elders in the past periodically that some of these people on YouTube, especially the ones who seem to have a particular addiction and fondness for assassinating my character, that some of them are paid agents. I received a voicemail, an anonymous voicemail, about a month ago. And I couldn't tell if the person leaving the voicemail was an African or not. And they didn't leave a return number, and I couldn't trace the call. But they had named one of the major YouTube detractors of Dr. Umar Johnson. And they said, this person by the name of such and such, I just wanted to call you and tell you that they are on the payroll of the United States government, and they hung up. They didn't leave a number. I couldn't get more information because obviously I wanted to follow up some of the questions. And so, yes, some of those people are put on YouTube to help undermine the growth of the strength of the reputation that a lot of us have. And when you talk about how media creates a false reality and a false narrative of the way things really are, we talk about that with the way the government operates, how they create a false narrative of what's really going on in the world, where America is often conditioning people to believe that they're just defending democracy, when the truth of the matter is you are actually asserting imperialism, right?
Indeed.
Well, in the YouTube world, we have the same thing going on, where you have, if you look on YouTube, you would think Dr. Umar is under attack by most black people, because you'll see 200-300 negative videos. They don't recognize that 99% of all Africans in the world love and support Dr. Umar Johnson. But you're not going to get that on YouTube because the positivity doesn't sell. So we have to make sure that we don't allow our psyches to get co-opted by these media narratives, which are not necessarily representative of the truth.
So Dr. Umar, if I may, and tell me if you'd like to answer this question. I remember when I first started seeing the attacks increase, it was centered around that Breakfast Club interview. And during the Breakfast Club interview, you talked specifically about interracial marriage, and that seemed to set the firestorm off, if you would, let me tell you what I mean. The synchronization of that interview with Breakfast Club seemed to set off these Negroes in fake media, black fake media, against you. They coming up with all types of lies and misinformation. So it seemed to me that these individuals who are on the payroll, and I want to concur, by the way, and I want to add on to what you just said, you are absolutely correct. I have evidential proof from the way these individuals are working that they are on the payroll of the United States Counterintelligence Movement 2.0 that's going on. I agree with that because they don't fight nobody else. They just fight black people. And so that's all they do, a lot of those people. They don't tell nothing about what's going on here. They just say, this person is this, Farrakhan ain't that, Dr. Umar ain't this, and then the next thing you know, they're talking about, don't trust nobody. Okay, that's government. But I wanted to say this though, in reference to that reality, I actually agree with you, and I actually believe that the way to counter that, if I may, Dr. Umar, is to actually just force communication, brothers and sisters. Would you agree that you have to force communication with each other? In other words, if you find yourself having something to say against somebody, it's better to ask them than just to assume they think it is? Or would you say, hey, just leave it alone and just write them off as an agent? I mean, that's a question that we ask.
I think it depends. I think that decision has to be made on a case-by-case basis. For example, if there's a brother who appears or a sister who appears to genuinely to a false conclusion about me, I would reach out to them. I would humble myself and I would reach out to them because I believe that she simply has been provided the wrong information. She's not innocent in all this, or he is not innocent in all this, because you should still be able to take an extra step and do some more research and come up with an unbiased opinion of, who I am or what I'm doing. But yet and still, we're all human, and humans make errors, and some of us come to this struggle with different levels of political IQ. Not everybody has the same level of political IQ. Some of us are politically gifted. Some of us are politically retarded. So, for example, somebody who's still looking at Barack Hussein Obama as something that was good for black people, they're politically retarded. There's no way after 8 years of Obama, 2 years of Trump, you still see Obama as having been something special for black folks. That's political retardation. Other black folks, as a result of being able to see Obama's impact, the aftershock of Obamaism, they may have improved their IQ. So not everybody comes to the same level of political IQ. So if I think it was an innocent ignorance, then I will try to correct it if it is an innocent ignorance. But if it is a deliberate ignorance, there is a conflict of interest between the truth and making money off YouTube page, okay, then I would probably just leave it alone. Because with those information, with those individuals, Brother Michael, they can't afford for the beef to be squashed because they don't get paid. See, if you squash the beef, he can't make 10 videos about you. She can't make 50 videos about you. And, of course, when you put Dr. Umar Johnson in your video, the views are going to go up just because his name is Umar Johnson.
Right.
So I'm thinking about one personality in the conscious community in particular who's well-respected, but he's a coon, and a Dr. Umar hater. He will put my name on videos where he don't even discuss me. My name is on the video, and he don't even discuss me purely for clickbait. So people will watch it, waiting for him to say something negative because he's already said so many negative things on his previous videos. In other words, YouTube dollars have complicated it, Brother Mike, because you're now being subsidized and paid by the very same people you claim to be against. You're being subsidized to destroy progressive African movement, progressive African organizers by the same people you claim to be fighting. They're funding you.
Right. Indeed. Well said. Well said. I have nothing to add on that. You said it all right there. I do have a question for atonement, and this is something that I was telling my wife often in my study as a Muslim. Of course, as a student of the Honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan, he's well versed us in the spirit of atonement, a la the October 16th, 1995 spirit. the 8 steps of atonement, what the necessity of it is, how do you unify, and how do you unify with your brother and your sister whenever you have at odds with them. And many of us in the so-called black conscious movements are not abreast to atonement. So someone who's wronged you, not just you personally, but wronged someone else from a psychological perspective, what do you recommend as a psychologist? Now, this is from a psychological perspective. Okay, I'm going to take it off the conscious movement. Let's say his brother did something to his wife. He cheated on his wife, whatever. How can a person atone? What should be the steps that they do, and what's the aim and the purpose at the end of that atonement? So if you understand my question from a psychological perspective.
Definitely. If I look at it from a therapeutic perspective, there are few things that can happen in the course of psychotherapy to bring about positive radical change instantaneously. Few things can bring about that change quicker than an honest, sincere, heartfelt apology and request for forgiveness. There's something about the human soul, and especially the African soul, because we are really the only complete humans on this earth. Everyone else is mixed with non-human DNA. We're the only complete human.
Indeed.
And there's something about the soul that it can't resist another soul if that soul comes to it humbly. If it is a humble admission of guilt and a humble and sincere and meaningful request to be forgiven, the God in you almost forces you to forgive that brother or sister.
Indeed.
And so being humble and asking for forgiveness, I have found in my work, has been one of the, politically and professionally now, and personally, politically, personally, and professionally, being able to tell somebody I'm sorry has mended more bridges than anything else. And when it comes from someone who has a level of, what is the word I'm looking for? Because I don't want to say fame or celebrity. I detest those words. So if you say a level of status, okay, when it comes, you know, when someone says, hey, you know, you forgot this, or you overlooked my name, or I was talking to you and you cut right off and start talking to the elder, I'm sorry. I did not do that on purpose. The time is all yours. What did you want to ask me? People need to know that those of us with status regard them as equals, and I most certainly do. I most certainly do. I will never, ever, ever, as long as I live, get so big-headed where I think I'm better than others. You understand? In fact, I think one of the reasons why I get the love I get globally is because you can walk up to me and have a conversation. You understand? You can walk up to me and give me a handshake or a hug, and I think it is that humility that has endeared me to our people. But getting back to your question, in terms of atoning, there's nothing more powerful than apologizing and asking for forgiveness. We as Africans don't do it enough. And that is because in our self-hate, in our Willie Lynch, in our post-traumatic slavery disease, in our psychological residuals of slavery, we have created an identity out of being victimized by other black folks. Although we hate being hurt by black people, we identify with the pain because it justifies us not coming together and working with one another. I want to say that again. We love to be offended by black folks because it helps justify why we don't work with other black folks.
Yes, sir. I thank you for that, Dr. Umar. And let me be the first, if no one else can say this, let me be the first to tell you that I myself do bear witness in your humility. It's a lot to deal with African people because there's a lot that we need. We need a lot, especially from psychologists. And I have interviewed and talked with a lot of celebrity-style conscious people, leader this, doctor that, doctor this. And I can say out of maybe 200 people that come to mind, and I'm just exaggerating that number, of course, I can truly say, brother, you're amongst the best in accessibility and humility in dealing with in general, not just in interviews, just in general as a person. and that is a commendation to you. There's a lot of people in the so-called movements of dealing with each other that are very egotistical. They think there's something they're not, and then I actually see their fall not too long after that. So as long as we remain humble, yes, I like to think I'm the same way. I'm not a celebrity in any means. I'm just a regular old brother. But when I see people say, "Hey, you Brother Mike," I'm like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just a regular brother." My wife would tell you, I don't think of myself as so big a person like that. You know what I mean? Never will. I don't care how famous or lack of fame that I get. I'm just trying to help our people. And so, yes, sir, I have noticed that as well. You are amongst the best that I've seen and dealt with and dealing with. I only urge brothers and sisters who are listening, support Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar ain't paid me no money to say this. Look, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you the truth. Support him and what he's doing. Independent school systems is what we need across the country. As a Nation of Islam member, we have Muhammad's universities, but we need as many black schools as we can get. I know the Hebrew Israelites got their schools, but we need as many schools as we can get. We need as many black schools as we can get. Brother Dr. Umar, you're doing something that I have not seen yet when it comes to the black African movement, and I thank you for that. How much time do you have with us, Dr. Umar?
I'm good, Brother Mike. I'm good on the time. And let me say this. It's funny because when I began raising the money, and let me be clear with you, Brother Mike, because we're being very transparent here tonight, the hate did not begin until 2015 to Umar Johnson. And that's not by coincidence. Two things happened in 2015. Number one, I started hosting my own lectures. Up until 2015, beginning with my very first self-sponsored lecture, Super Bowl Sunday in Indianapolis, Indiana, January 2015. That was the first ever self-sponsored lecture that I did. That was the first time I charged myself for a lecture, 2015. When I did that, a lot of the conscious pimps and hustlers became upset with me because I cut out the middleman. And the reason I cut out the middleman, Brother Mike, is I said to myself, I have plans, programs, initiatives. I'm fundraising for a school. Why am I putting all this money in the hands of a Negro who don't even care about me and who's only doing this to make money off the people, putting none of it back in the community? So when I saw how they were basically flying me around the country to stuff their pockets, I said, this is not what I'm into. None of this money is going nowhere. And the other thing, Brother Mike, that made me very upset is how they would bring me across the country and they would deny the audience who paid to see Dr. Umar sufficient time to interact with Dr. Umar. So if the event says Dr. Umar is going to speak from 6 to 8, it's 9 o'clock and Dr. Umar still hasn't been on stage. But everybody else has been on stage. So y'all basically used my name to get money and to push your agenda without even giving the people what they paid for. And that was a message from Dr. Umar. I can't tell you how many times I left events feeling hurt for the people who paid to see me, who didn't even get a chance to hear me. You get up on stage, and they're giving you a piece of paper saying, we got to be out in 15 minutes. How the hell we got to be out on 15 minutes? I just got on the stage. I've been sitting backstage for 3-4 hours. These people been in here waiting, sweating, freezing, whatever the case may be, to hear me. And the minute you give me the microphone, you're telling me how we got to be out the building in 15 minutes. So it was that type of disrespectful treatment, Brother Mike, that led me to start sponsoring my own events. So that was the beginning of the hate. People were no longer able to exploit Dr. Umar for personal financial gain. That was one piece. And the other piece is when the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy fundraiser, which began in 2014, I finally put it up on a crowdfunding site, which was GoFundMe in 2015. So that brought the other amount of jealousy and animosity because most of the people who attacked me had GoFundMe campaigns of their own that really didn't go anywhere. Number one, they didn't raise much money, or, they either didn't get enough money, or they didn't use the money for anything productive for the people. So people were raising money because I need equipment for this, or I need money for a personal library, I need money to travel. They were raising money for personal things. They weren't raising money for something to benefit the race. You see, Even the ones who was raising money for documentaries would use that money on the documentary and then charge the people again. So it was still about a personal hustle. It wasn't about doing nothing for the race. The Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy was purely for the race, a school for black boys. And when it began to pick up momentum, Brother Mike, when the momentum kicked in, and they saw the 100,000 and the 200,000 and the 300,000, on top of the fact that you stopped letting us exploit you for financial gain through lecturing, that was too much for the haterism to have to digest. So that's when they came and attacked me. We not making no money off this brother. And at the same time, he got the audacity to be outfunding us on this GoFundMe campaign. But my answer to that, Brother Mike, is look at what I'm raising money for. I'm not raising money for myself. I'm raising money to give our boys an opportunity at a better education and subsequently a better life. So it was the success of the GoFundMe with the fact that I cut out the Hotep middleman from my lecture circuit. That's what brought the hate.
You know, Dr. Umar, I'm going to be transparent and honest with you. I told my wife, in reference to that, because all these videos that you had said before about people talking against you, I said, look, hold on. I done gave money to the IRS, who don't do nothing for us. I done gave money to this group and that group that hadn't done nothing. I'm talking about white supremacy groups that we forced to pay money to. And they don't see me complaining like that, although I do complain. I said, why are these brothers and sisters talking about Dr. Umar and what is he doing with the money when they don't do that to the IRS?
They haven't given a penny, Brother Mike. The people talking are not donors. None of them are donors. Not a single person with a negative video of me is a donor. My donors don't hate. If my donors have questions, they reach out to me. My donors don't have a need for you to. I haven't had a single donor directly express regret for donating money. Let me qualify that. I'm sorry. That's not true. I think I've had two. I believe I've received 2 letters or 2 emails. There's only 2. It's not even a handful. 1 or 2, Brother Mike. In 4.5 years, I received one or 2 letters from people stating I would like to have my money returned because they drunk some of the YouTube Kool-Aid. But and you're talking about tens of thousands of donations over 4.5 years. Tens of thousands of donations representing black people from every continent in every country. I don't think there's a country on earth from which I didn't receive a donation from an African, which means FDMG will probably be extremely unique just from a fundraising standpoint because it'll be the first independent school that is truly Pan-Africanist in its creation because every black community on earth donated to its creation. Every single one.
Beautiful.
And so when you look at the sheer number of donations that I've had to handle these 4.5 years, to only get 2 people out of tens of thousands saying, I want my money back. That's amazing. And it speaks to the...
Well, it is amazing, and it's a commendation to the transparency you're making. I've had some foolish people that I had... Now, let me make this clear, Dr. Umar. I had some brothers that I had to correct over the last couple years, and I mean correct very strongly, one-on-one, when they came to me with some stupid stuff about Dr. Umar's school. I said, the first thing I said to these brothers, first of all, did you donate any money at all? But, I said, no, did you donate anything? I said, don't talk to me about nothing unless you're putting your money there. There's an old wise saying I once heard, brothers and sisters. An older brother once told me that wherever, it's in the scripture too, in the Bible, wherever a person puts their money, that's where their heart is. And so,
thank you.
As soon as I heard about the school, I donated twice. And I said, look, and I'm still going to donate because I was telling a brother the other day. I said, brother, do you know how much is? Where's Dr. Umar's school? I see you going to interview Dr. Umar. I said, hold on, time out. I said, when the last time you did a fundraiser? I grew up in the church. My wife and I talk about this often. She grew up in the church, and them churches be having fundraisers for 10 years.
Yes, sir. And you never see the new building that the building fund was for.
Never, ever see the building. And if you do, it's a portion of it So I don't never see nobody going on YouTube talking about this church here. I grew up in the church that happened. We had a fundraiser in the church I grew up from the time I was like 4, 5, 6 years old all the way till I was in my 20s. I'm not exaggerating. And that's just one of thousands of churches that have had the same problem. It's because getting a building and holding that money is not easy. So I told my wife, I was like, so if Dr. Umar took some of the money and traveled around the world, I'm just saying the worst case scenario, I'm not saying you did this, and traveled the world to help our people, who's playing about that? Like he's some charlatan or some kind of thief like that. But these same people who complain don't go to the federal government and say, look, what are y'all doing with my money?
Not at all. Not at all. Not only that, Brother Mike, not only the feds, these same people, okay, because the excuse they could use for the feds is the government requires that I pay that money. But Nike don't require you spend $2 billion a year on Air Jordan.
There you go.
McDonald's can't require you to spend $1 billion on fast food. Okay, the Korean-controlled hair care industry doesn't force black women to spend $15 billion plus a year on fake hair and perm. Nobody's forcing us to spend $4 billion a year on liquor and alcohol. You understand? So it's amazing that the same people who will question 750,000 after 4.5 years, which, although I'm grateful, Brother Mike, I'm extremely grateful for my donors for giving me that money to build this school. But in the larger scheme of things, it's an embarrassment.
Yes,
Brother Mike, that's an embarrassment.
It is.
Do you know what did we spend on the Black Panther movie? I believe Black Panther spent $300 million on the opening weekend of Black Panther.
Yeah, first weekend. Right.
This is a Walt Disney movie. This is a white man's movie. $300 million the opening weekend. Nike can get $2 billion a year faithfully, and they crying about less than $1 million after 4.5 years. It's actually embarrassing, brother. And let me say this. I believe in my heart, Brother Mike, that my detractors don't actually believe I was stealing the money. I don't believe that. I believe that they have more confidence in me to succeed with this plan than I may even have in myself. I don't believe this is a hatred that grows from this brother is a thief and we protecting the community. I don't believe that, Brother Mike. I believe that they believe in their heart that if this brother gets this school open, it's going to change America and the entire black diaspora forever. And because we know he's sincere, we have to stop it. Because our jealousy and envy can't stand to see Dr. Umar as the lone wolf amongst the quote-unquote conscious community, actually nation building, actually institution building, when everybody else ain't doing nothing but producing documentaries and debates. This brother is actually doing something to change our reality besides hustling our people off of cultural products. You see, so I think it's because of a profound faith in my ability to succeed. And the reason I say this, Brother Mike, is the hate has gotten worse after we got to school. My brother, how can the hate get worse?
Get worse.
After you get to school. Remember now, up until last Saturday, they said there would be no school. He stole the money. So if he stole the money and there would be no school, you would think once the school is shown and proved, you would have to apologize for that. You're not apologizing.
Can I
go? We're going to keep on going. And now we're going to say he's lying about the school. It ain't his. He never bought it. There's no deed. And guess what, Brother Mike? When the school opens, they're going to move to something else. They're going to say the kids ain't learning. Then when we show the kids is learning, they're going to move to something else. It's never going to stop. And the reason it's never going to stop is because dishonorable people. This is why it's so important for us to only deal with people who have integrity and principle. I don't care what the ideology is. And I've told people this time and time again. Your ideology, I love Pan-Africanism, but guess what? It is second to you having integrity and being principled.
Yes, sir.
One brother could be a Pan-Africanist. The other brother might be a Hebrew Israelite.
I don't agree with everything the Hebrews teach, but guess what? If I think that Hebrew brother is sincere, has integrity, and is moving out on principle, guess what? I'm going to unite with the Hebrew and get something done before I will unite with a scheming, opportunistic, Pan-Africanist Negro. Because at the end of the day, if the integrity and the principle is not intact, the ideology don't even matter. The ideology don't even matter. And that's why we have to really be about principle and integrity. Because if you're about principle and integrity, you're not going to make no video defaming a brother who's the only one in that community. Only one amongst all of you who is trying to build an institution to change things. Ain't not one of those persons who made a video, Brother Mike, is trying to change anything for black folks. The only thing they building are YouTube pages.
And Dr. Umar, we got about 6 minutes, and then we got to wrap it up because the thing going to shut down on me if I do. So I want to give you an opportunity to talk to the people who are going to be listening, not just tonight. And by the way, the switchboard is lit up. So I would normally ask, if anybody got any questions, but I don't even want to do that. I want them to just call you if they got questions. So you already got your number. So for the people who want to help with the school, like there's some retired teachers out there or some brothers and sisters who are thinking about moving to Delaware because, and by the way, brothers and sisters, Delaware is a nice, quaint state. I stayed there at a hotel with my family one time on the way up to New York. It was raining hard, so we stayed there. I've been through it a lot of times. There's people who want to help, and are you still taking resumes is my question.
Absolutely. Resumes can be emailed to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. fdmgresumes@gmail.com. And those resumes are for employment or anything that has to do with academics. So if you're volunteering and you want to volunteer academically, let's say you got a retired teacher, she wants to be a reading tutor for kids who might be struggling. She should send a resume to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. If you want to volunteer as it relates to cleanup, or you're an engineer, or you're a plumber, or you paint, you can do something to help us prepare for the opening of the school, then you should send your information to Dr. Umar Johnson at yahoo.com. And that doesn't necessarily need a resume. So if your brother say, listen, I do designs, I could do the building signs, I could put the building signs up, I can do the paint, I can, anything that has to do with us opening up the school, email me directly, Dr. Umar Johnson at Yahoo. I don't need a resume. Just tell me how you can help and list your credentials. If it has something to do with helping, working, or volunteering once the school is open, meaning academic or student programming, then that should be emailed with a resume, cover letter, and a photo to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. And let me reiterate, if you're sexually confused, if you're dating outside of your race, okay, or if you're praying to white Jesus, you need not apply.
Go ahead. That's right. I agree. This is a black school, brothers and sisters.
And it is independent. School. We are not public. We are not charter. So those laws do not apply to us.
Indeed. And I second that. That's why I love the concept of a black boys' school for black people by black people, because what the enemy likes to do is neutralize us with some other people coming in with other agendas, and that's the kind of reality. So that's good to know. There's one more I want to ask. Is there any room for expansion, or I should say, to other cities? Let's say someone's in another city right now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're going to franchise it. We're definitely going to franchise it. One FDMG is good, but we're going to need 1 million of them to really systematically change the international collective Black African psyche. So we have to franchise FDMG. There's no way we can do this with one school forever. At some point, I have to put someone else in charge of that school, and I got to go put one in Atlanta, one in Nigeria, one in London, one in Chicago, one in LA, one in Jamaica. We have to franchise the school. But I do want to say this, because a lot of people have been saying they don't understand why I felt the need to have a brick-and-mortar academy when so many other schools are moving to an online format. I want to be very, very clear with people.
I do not support online schooling for children. And the reason I don't support online schooling for children is because more than half is social learning. It is interactive. It is team building. It is conversation. It is picking up on the energy of the teacher. I'm not against online learning if that's the only thing you can do. But all things considered equal, a child is going to be much better educated in your face, feeling the teacher, seeing the classmates, being in the atmosphere, picking up the energy, than having to learn through osmosis by way of a computer screen while they sit in their mother's living room. I am not for that. There is no proof, none, Brother Michael, that online schools produce better learners than traditional schools. The only reason why online schools are so popular because they require much less overhead. It saves you money, and that's why it's more popular, not because it does a better job teaching children. It doesn't. If your child has a question, they need to ask it right then and there. They don't have time to be waiting for the teacher to call them back, waiting for the teacher to return an email. You know how you have a question on your mind right now that you need answered in order for you to go to the next formula, in order for you to go to the next concept? I need this answered now. If I don't get this answered now, I won't be able to follow the rest of the lesson. You lose that. There's process loss there when you have to learn through a computer. Children were not designed to learn through computers. They were not designed to be taught by electronics. They were designed and created to be taught by people. Education is a helping profession, it is a learning profession, and it is a healing profession. It takes teachers to teach children, not computers.
Indeed. Spoken like a true brother who loves black people. You are absolutely correct. That's why I chose to go to school myself rather than do it online. Some people have social disorders that want to do it online. Dr. Umar, I just want to get one correction here. I want to ask, I'm putting the address for people to send the donations to. What is the zip code for Wilmington, Delaware again? 198?
Yes, sir. P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809.
All right, and again, tell us one more time. We got 1 minute, and then I got to let you go. Tell us one more time how we can get in contact with you. All the contact information, phone number, everything.
Absolutely.
Go through that one more time.
DrUmarJohnson.com, DrUmarJohnson.com, Dr. Umar Johnson at Yahoo.com, DrUmar Johnson at Yahoo. Phone 215-989-9858 or 844-4-Dr. Umar. 844-4-Dr. Umar. Twitter and Instagram at Dr. Umar Johnson. Facebook, Dr. Umar Ifatunde.
Dr. Umar, thank you.
And brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Dr. Umar, for fighting the good fight for our brothers and sisters. When time permits, when I'd like to visit once it's up and running, and just to show my love and support. And if you'll have me, I'd like to address the audience of black boys and tell them the importance of education. And and that's something we need to do. I want to send you the greetings from my wife and from the Nat Turner family of Elder Baba Khalifa, as well as the Khalifa family. And, brother, you are always welcome here. Anytime you got something to do, just let us know. And I thank you again. I put all the information up there. And inshallah, we'll have you soon, Dr. Umar. May Allah continue to bless you and keep you protected in this hateful world from these enemies that will want you to be in demise.
Appreciate you, Brother Mike. Peace and blessings to the entire family as well. We will meet again, black man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Brothers and sisters, that is our brother, Dr. Umar Johnson. Next week, we're going to have another Johnson brother. That's Brother Chris Johnson, economist, owner of Liberty Hall Media Group. He's going to discuss the national debt and the black struggle revealed. Who are the IRS, Federal Reserve, and the ADL? Chris Johnson will be in the building next week. No relation to Dr. Umar Johnson, but hey, Johnson & Johnson was a black-owned company originally. So Brother Chris Johnson will be in the building next week. A brother who was on here a few years ago, he's back. Hardcore subject next week. Tune in next Thursday, 8 p.m. Support the FDMG Academy. Support Dr. Umar at drumarjohnson at yahoo.com. Support bromichaelmuhammad.com. But support yourself, brothers and sisters, by loving yourself. Come in next week. Chris Johnson will be here in the building. Blessings, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.
Stay tuned for Nat Turner Library Radio.